Good morning, my friends. This is Buddha's meditation manual. I am Lama Jigme Gyatso. Welcome to the Buddha Joy Meditation School. This is part of our ongoing explanation of Buddha's meditation manual, the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, which can be translated as the greater discourse on the four bases of mindfulness. We are in a portion of the meditation manual that's still focused on the first base, which is body. And now we are on the precipice of exploring the body's components. This is primarily for mindfulness training. Why is that important? Because we tend to hide from things. Carl Gustav Jung taught that we empower our shadow self by being oblivious to our shadow self. The contrary is also true, that by being aware of our darker impulses, we disempower them. Like a ninja after the light's been turned on, when our darker impulses have been dragged into the light, they can cease to take us by surprise. Another benefit to playing with Buddha's exploration of the body's components is that it lays the groundwork for the first pillar of the wisdom teachings, and that is interdependence. It doesn't take a great scholar to realize that no lungs, no life. We are dependent upon our components. This is not a point of doctrine, but a simple, visceral illustration that is, or I should say observation, that is illustrated by these series of brief and easy contemplations. Bear in mind, we don't start with this practice. We start with the 4 sets of 3 centering exercises. And then we do approximately 2 sets of 3 overarching exercises. Then we wade out into the minutia of our body inventory. This is going to make a whole lot more sense if you use the first link in the doodly-doo to download your free copy of Buddha's Techniques and Lao Tzu's Principles. I recommend reading it on your smartphone with the use of the free Kindle app. Once you've downloaded it, you can use the Kindle app to create an email account with which you can email future PDFs that you download. I say future PDFs because I update this PDF every few days. It's free, so download it all you want. Let's jump in. Please join me, if you haven't already, on page 23. 23 is the first page where we have 5 instead of 3 exercises. What is the common denominator, that the unifying feature of all these 5 exercises on this page? They deal with the body's superficialities. We begin with the hair on our head. We explore it with the help of the threefold grin, which is going to be a constant appearing typically at the top of each page for this section. Grin with lips to head hairs. Let's try this again. Grin with lips to these head hairs, relaxing. Grin with cheeks to head hairs, relaxing. Grin with eyes to head hairs, relaxing. I encourage you not to fall into the newbie trap of thinking you have to visualize or count. No. These exercises' greatest strength are their greatest source of annoyance for naysayers, because all you have to do is silently, mentally recite the words on the first line during the in-breath. And during the second line of the couplet just means a pair of lines, you silently, mentally recite relaxing. Here's the cool thing, as I've previously mentioned, we are hardwired to tighten up a little bit on our in-breath. And the metaphysical application of that would be tightening the lasso of our attention, to use a poetic jargon. On our out-breath, we relax automatically. And that can be applied to letting go of our grasp of the world around us, as well as our preconceptions. So noticing and releasing are already hardwired into our bodies and our brains. All we have to do is make use of this latent potentiality in the most wonderful way. This brings us to the second exercise on the page. We return to the use of the standard or the simple grin. Grin to body's hairs or body hairs, relaxing. Now, if this strikes you as smacking of sensuality, good. Man, I am not a fundamentalist, I am a liberal. I began my journey as a fundamentalist, but a fundamentalist with wide open eyes. And I saw many things, both in present day and in history. The Buddhism that was originally taught by the hermit Gautama is vastly different than it evolves into after 1,000 years or 2,000 years or 26 centuries. One of the first changes that took place in Buddhism was the infiltration of various Hindu practices into Buddhism. Buddhism did not begin as a religion, but as a set of self-improvement techniques. There are two main sects in Hinduism, the Shivites and the Vaishnavas, and it's the second group that had a profound influence on the transformation of Buddhism into a religion. One of them was that the Vaishnava priests had shaved their heads, and so the shaving of heads was brought into Buddhism. There is subtle evidence. The Buddha might have had a full beard and a long head of hair. Perhaps he tied it in a top knot, perhaps not. But the very fact that in this meditation manual tells us to contemplate, or at least be aware of our head's hairs, is something to give us pause. When religion and politics marry, strange things happen. And rather than emulate their holy men, they try to make the holy life as repugnant as possible. That was my repugnant face. I hope you enjoyed it. And so around the world, in an effort to make the holy life repugnant, they combine it with celibacy. But here's something to consider. It has been said that it is the victors who write the histories. So just because a dusty book, something is written, doesn't mean that was originally taught 26 centuries ago. It just means that was codified into the practice. Typically, there are two types of people, those who are profoundly spiritual and those who love power. And typically, and here's an ironic thing, those most worthy to lead desire leadership the least. Those least worthy to lead, you guessed it, desire leadership the most. So over the centuries, very petty, mercurial, contriving, Machiavellian folks have been in charge of the holy writs of various spiritual paths around the world. It's been my experience that fundamentalists define themselves by what they do not do, whereas a liberal defines himself by what he does do. Let that thing sink in. So a fundamentalist might say, what makes me a monk? The fact I don't wear normal clothes, the fact I don't have normal hair, the fact I don't engage in the sex life. Those things make me a monk. The fact I don't eat I don't eat breakfast and I don't eat dinner. Those things make me a monk because I refrain from those things. A liberal says, what makes me a monk? Everything I do is about the teachings, is about learning the teachings, practicing the teachings, sharing the teachings, applying the teachings, healing others with the teachings, counseling with the teachings. Everything I do. And I've studied all three major schools of Buddhism and all their subsects. There's always going to be a minority in every spiritual path that practices sacred sexuality. We see that in virtually every religion. There's always a minority that's liberal, a minority that's comfortable exploring sexuality and sexual permutations, if you will. So I like these two exercises because they infer that perhaps the archetypical myth of Buddhism is just that, a myth. And perhaps the persnickety view of the fundamentalist monk is just that, a view. There was a Disney movie, and the heroine sang a song, "Can you paint with all the colors of the rainbow?" And that's a really profound line. There's more than just black and white. There's more than just blue and yellow and red. There's a whole spectrum. And when we become slaves to fear and perfectionism and rigidity and intolerance and aggression, we cut ourselves off from the juiciness of life, the spark that can make us great. So second exercise, grin to body hairs, relaxing. Third exercise. Over the years, I've been treated by a handful of acupuncturists, and I've dated a handful of acupuncturists, which is very advantageous for my education. And one of the things I was taught was that for each of our toes, for each of our fingers, there are meridians that go into them. So what? So this. The third exercise reads, grin to these nails, relaxing. Where are our nails? Well, we got nails on our toes and we got nails on our fingers. We got 4 syllables. Where are these nails? During the first syllable, I recommend subtly wiggling one set of toes. During the second syllable, I recommend subtly wiggling your second set of toes. During the third syllable, I recommend subtly wiggling one set of fingers. And during the fourth syllable, I recommend subtly wiggling the second set of fingers. I keep using the phrase Neo-Taoism as contrasted with Archeo-Taoism or Original Taoism. Arguably, like Buddhist Tantra, Neo-Taoism developed about 1,000 years, give or take, after the original Tao Te Ching was penned. In America, people who typically learn about the Neo-Taoist practice of Qigong or energy work, typically martial artists or very sick people trying to get better. Imagine my surprise that it could be said the roots of this healing Qigong are found 1,000 years ago in a different religion. How neat is that? It's been my experience that if we continue working with all the exercises in this section of the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, our health will benefit. Which is not the main purpose. The main purpose is our mindfulness. But the fact that we can have a dynamic effect upon our health is very, very cool. In the past, I've tested this hypothesis working with acupuncturists who would use their traditional Chinese medicinal diagnostic techniques before and after I would play with these various exercises, and they would see an immediate difference, which I found to be very cool. So let's play right now. Grin to these nails, relaxing. Many, many years ago, when I was studying Qigong avidly, I learned there were certain Qigong practices even for dental health. So I was delighted to discover this meditation. Grin to teeth, relaxing. When mentally reciting the syllable grin, allow your awareness to flow to the place where the tip of your tongue touches the roof of your mouth, right behind your upper incisors. While mentally reciting the word two, allow your awareness to flow around your lower row of teeth, from one set of molars to the other. During the third syllable, teeth, do the same thing with the upper row. Allow your awareness to flow from one set of molars to the other. Our goal is not perfect visualization. All we have to do is be mindful as we mentally and silently recite the syllables on the in-breath and then the out-breath, and mind and body and energy will take care of the rest. Come, let us play with this exercise now. Grin to teeth, relaxing. Three breaths and you're done. The last exercise on this page, in keeping with the theme of superficiality, is skin. Grin to skin, relaxing. My friends, I hope you've enjoyed this explanation of a small portion of Buddha's meditation manual. If you've liked it, find the thumbs up icon, give that a click, and then share it with your friends on social media using the buttons below. If you want to make sure not to miss the next video, it's simple. Find the red button that reads subscribe and give that bad boy a click. After you do, just to the right, a little tiny circular icon will appear. And you click that, a pull-down menu will descend. By clicking the first box, you'll be giving YouTube permission to send you an email notification the next time I upload a video. If you want more than just videos, if you'd like live instruction, then you can use the second link in the doodly-doo to register for a class. If you either in person, if you live in Southern California, or via a live webinar simulcast if you don't. Some people get anxious about fees. There are no fees. Everything is by donation. Some people give a large donation, some people give a small donation, some give zero donation. I only demand two things. Number one, you show up to class 5 minutes early. Vince Lombardi said, if you ain't early, you're late. Number two, I give homework every week. After the first lesson, you'll learn 5 minutes worth of techniques. Techniques designed to multiply your sense of bliss and joy and contentment and tranquility. So they're somewhat pleasurable techniques. And to practice those techniques at least once every morning, at least once every evening, every day. Super important. You ain't going to do your homework, you ain't going to see no results. It's as simple as that. Well, my friends, that's all that I can think to mention right now. May you and yours be healthy and happy. Bye-bye now.